Hi, I'm Pam Fox at pamfox.org, and in today's video I'm going to go into a little bit more depth as to the behind the scenes kind of why the exercises that move the stomach down, how they work. And I thought of a really great analogy that's going to help us understand this a little bit better. So if you've ever had the string in your hoodie get lost within the hood, okay, there's two ways you can go about pulling that string back out, right? One is you can take some type of a device and put it in and grab hold of that string and pull it through. So like tweezers or a safety pin or something like that. But the other, and that would be, you could compare that to a hiatal hernia surgical repair where they physically go in with a tool and they pull the stomach out of the diaphragm, okay? So the other way you can move that string back through the fabric is to ease it along, okay? This is going to take longer, it's going to be frustrating, but eventually, I think most of you know what I'm talking about. If you lose that drawstring, you can wiggle it through the fabric and wiggle the fabric back and wiggle the string through and wiggle the fabric back, and eventually a little bit will peek out of that hole and you can grab it and pull it through. And so the exercise of moving the stomach down and out of the diaphragm can be done personally through breath work. Okay, and so that's what I want to talk more about today. I'm not only going to share how to do this, but I'm going to be explaining a lot why this works, and I'm going to be giving some specifics on the technique so that you can understand not just how to do it better, but understand why it works. Because for some people, and usually it's younger people with newer hiatal hernias, they can move it down pretty quickly with these techniques. But for older people, or even just not even older, but people with older hiatal hernias or larger hiatal hernias, it takes a lot more time and effort, and so you're more likely to give up on the protocol or the practice if you're not getting the results that you want. And so if you can make this connection and go, yes, I can see how that would work. I can see how that would work. It's just going to take time. Then maybe you'll be more likely to stick to the exercise. Okay, so one of the things I get a lot is people are confused and they don't understand what I mean when I say connect with the sound and the vibration of your breath. So when I teach these exercises, I always say to connect with the sound and the vibration of your breath. And some people disregard that because they think it's not important, and other people they're not quite sure what I'm talking about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, also about the importance of posture, and of course the importance of relaxing the abs, and how all of this, when it comes together, why it does move that stomach down. Okay, so first of all, posture. If we stand up straight, if we arch our back, if we lay down flat, if we lift our hands, if we raise our hands, anything like this is going to lift our rib cage, right? So just now I just arched my back and you see my rib cage come up. My rib cage is attached to my diaphragm, which is underneath the rib cage and is where the stomach is obstructed. All right, so if we can get our diaphragm to come up, okay, and you've got a hernia, again, if you've got a young hernia, if you've got a small hernia, just that act alone of moving the diaphragm up may be enough to create space and to unherniate your stomach. Again, not for everybody. But it's important to have that posture. Now for some people, again, if you've got an older hernia means you've got a lot of strong adhesions there. In that case, something like raising your hands, sitting up tall, lying down flat may be extremely uncomfortable for you. Why? Because it's pulling. That diaphragm is pulling up, but your stomach is stuck. And so it's either going to take the stomach with it, or it's going to tug on it. And those tissues at the herniated site are tender, inflamed, and agitated as is. And so then if you start tugging on that, it's going to may give you pain, it may give you nausea, it may irritate your lower esophageal sphincter and make you more uncomfortable. So that's why, if you sit up really tall or do anything where you lift your rib cage, for some people it creates more discomfort. And again, if you've got a younger hiatal hernia, it may be all it takes to pop that out. So everyone's going to be different, but the posture during the exercise is important. If you can't sit up tall, if you can't lengthen your spine and lift your diaphragm, just find a position that's comfortable for you to start. and eventually start to, just kind of play around with this idea of lifting the rib cage through arching your back or leaning back or whatever it is. So that's posture. The next thing I want to talk about, I know I talk about this a lot, but is relaxing the abs, relaxing the belly. So when we breathe in, our lungs fill with air, right? And so when that happens, our diaphragm is here. It's a dome-shaped muscle. It moves down, okay? If you are sucking in your gut, if you are contracting your abs and that diaphragm moves down, what happens? It creates all of this pressure within the abdominal cavity, okay? So why is that a big deal? Well, I wish I had one and I should get one because it would be a great prop, but if you've ever held a stress ball in your hand, the kind that kind of bubbles out, it kind of pops out in between your fingers, like you squeeze it and it pops out between your fingers. Have you guys ever held one of those? What's happening there is you squeeze the stress ball and the balloon is going to find release anywhere where there is an escape route, okay? And so in your abdominal cavity, you have in your diaphragm a hole. It's known as the hiatus. It's the hole the esophagus comes through. It's the hole your stomach herniates through. So when there's a lot of pressure in your abdominal cavity, it's overcrowded and your stomach sits right underneath your diaphragm. Well, it's supposed to. And so that pressure will push your stomach against your diaphragm, put it against your diaphragm, put it against your diaphragm. And over a long period of time, as your diaphragm begins to relax and that hole begins to widen, your stomach will eventually pop through. So when that diaphragm comes down, what's supposed to happen is the belly is supposed to expand to create room within the abdominal cavity so all of that pressure isn't pushing against your stomach up into the diaphragm, right? The same thing happens in our chest cavity when we breathe. The lungs expand with air, and what happens? The ribs are flexible, they open up, the muscles stretch, everything moves to allow for that expansion so that there's not pressure, okay? So the same thing is supposed to happen down here that happens up here. When we breathe in, the lungs expand, the diaphragm moves down, and the belly is supposed to open up. But we forget how to breathe into our belly as we get older. So if you've ever watched a baby sleeping or a child sleeping and you see their belly does this every time they breathe in, it expands. But as we get older, many of us forget how to do this. And a lot of it has to do with stress, okay, or we become sedentary. There are some different reasons. So then we become what's coined as a chest breather or a shallow breather, where instead of our diaphragm, going through a full range of motion, now it's just kind of doing this. It's not going through a full range of motion. And so think about it. If you're going back to the stress ball. So the stomach if there's pressure on the stomach as the diaphragm comes down, it's going to seek out that escape route. And again, that's going to be your hiatus. Okay, so that's really important, is understanding, making that connection of why we need to relax our abdominal muscles when we do the exercise, but we also need to relearn how to breathe, relearn how to retrain ourselves how to breathe this way. Relax the belly and breathe into the belly. Give it that room to open up so when that diaphragm comes down, the stomach isn't crowded and pushing up against or through, in the case of a hiatal hernia, the diaphragm. We've got to relax those abs and give those organs room, okay? So that's relaxing the belly. Now, connecting with the sound and the vibration of the breath. Why is that important? Well, the relaxing the belly and the connection with the breath, they kind of go hand in hand, but I want to go really into depth on this a little bit because it's so important that you make this connection. So when we connect with the sound and the vibration of our breath, there's a couple of different things you can do that will help you do this. One is to pretend like you're snoring. So if you pretend like you're snoring right now, just make that, kind of close your lips and make that sound that you would make when you snore. You'll hear the vibration and you'll feel the vibration. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, do we need to go around snoring all the time? No. That's just a way for you to kind of connect with what I'm talking about. You can do this on a much smaller scale. So like if you think about when you're starting to fall asleep at night and you kind of have that, I'm going to get up really close. You guys hear that? So that vibration and that sound and that That's what you want. That's what you want when you do these exercises. Combined with the posture, relaxing the abs is what is going to force you, maybe not force you, but it's going to make you more likely able to relax the belly and expand the belly when you breathe, okay? So when you're doing the exercise and when you're retraining yourself how to breathe, try to practice repetitively connecting with that sound. You can do this as a meditation. You can do it while you're standing in line, you know, at the checkout. You can do it when you're talking to a friend. You can do it while you're working. Make that connection of the sound and the vibration of the breath. Relax the abs, and you should notice your belly expanding through that very act of connecting with the sound and the breath, sound and the vibration of the breath. I'm not just saying to connect with that vibration just to say it. It's a really important component of the exercise. So you need to make that connection. And here's one other way that you can do this. So your tongue is supposed to sit on the roof of your mouth, but our tongues typically sit where? They rest down in the bottom of the mouth. Now, why do I know this? Well, I'm just repeating. I see a holistic dentist that is one of the top holistic dentists in this country, if not the world, and he is the leader in an apparatus that he invented and he makes that helps people realign. I shouldn't be explaining this because I don't fully understand it myself, but it helps you to relearn how to relax your jaw. It helps people with TMJ because it forces you to relax your jaw and it forces your tongue to sit within the mouth where it's supposed to. But the reason I say that is because I'm just trying to give a little bit of a resource as to why I believe that our tongue belongs at the roof of our mouth and not at the bottom. My particular dentist teaches and is training dentists all over the world on this theory and this apparatus that he has developed, which I have one. It's called, I can't even remember what it's called, but I wear it when I sleep at night, and it prevents me from grinding my teeth. It reduces inflammation and irritation in your jaw. And it retrains your tongue how to sit up on the roof of your mouth instead of down below. Okay, so now why is that important for this? If you stop right now and you push your tongue up against the roof of your mouth, keep your lips closed, relax your abs and sit up tall, and try to take a breath in, you will notice that you will hear the sound and the vibration of your breath, almost like that snoring I was talking about. You may even notice that you can't even take in a breath. It may be very difficult, but go ahead and try it. Sit up tall, relax your abs, relax your shoulders, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and take in a breath. Really focus on what your belly is doing and relax it. Notice if you hear the sound and the vibration of the breath. And notice if you feel or hear any gurgling in your stomach. If you do, that means you're getting movement. That means that you're doing everything you can do to optimize that stomach moving down and moving downward instead of moving upward, which is what we want. That's what we want. And so then when we put all of this together and we begin to practice, we do 1 minute a day, 5 minutes a day, whatever you can do, combining this, relaxing the abs, posture, and the breath, sound and the vibration of the breath, we begin to get that movement where the stomach now is doing this. It's moving down, moving down, moving down. It's not an aggressive pop where you have an instant unherniation. That doesn't happen with very many people. Again, for someone who's got a younger hiatal hernia, I have had people tell me, Pam, I did your breathing exercises and I'm cured. That is not the norm. That is the rarity. So for most people, and I talked about this in another video, we have this peritoneum, which is the lining within the abdominal cavity. It encases all of our organs. It is the adhesions or connections that keeps everything in place. If your stomach has been up here for a long time, new adhesions create there. And so then getting that to move down and out is just like that string in your hoodie. You got to stretch it. You got to move it. You got to prod it. You got to coax it. And you got to be patient and you got to be consistent until it finally moves. And so the posture is going to lift the diaphragm, okay? Relaxing the belly is going to remove the pressure and allow the stomach to just use gravity towards your advantage so it will move downward. And then this connection by moving the tongue up on the roof of the mouth and really connecting with the sound and the vibration of your breath is just going to kind of force that belly to expand and line everything up to the way it's supposed to be, and enable us to belly breathe. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go through a quick, I'll just guide you and we'll do this together. So find a comfortable position. If you can sit up nice and tall, that's great. If you want to stand up, that's great. Relax your shoulders. Relax the jaw. Place your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And if you want to, remember the fundus, the greater curvature of the stomach. You can Google that if you don't know what that is. Everything is reversed here, but this is my left side, and it's just a curve of the stomach. So it's just right here. So you can place your hand there. And what that does is when you begin to breathe and your diaphragm is doing this, and it's taking your stomach with it, if you're putting a little bit of pressure right here, then it's just going to be more likely to stay put and help you out with making that space and that disconnect, which is what we want. So you can place your hand here, you can gently push here, and it doesn't take much. You guys don't need to get in there and push super duper deep. It's just, there just needs to be a little bit of pressure there. Okay, so relax, apply pressure if you'd like to, relax your abs. All right, so let's breathe in together. Inhale through the nose and exhale. Check and relax the shoulders. Breathe in and out. Check and relax the belly. Relax it. Breathe in and out. Relax the jaw. Breathe in and out. Notice if you feel any sensation in the stomach, any gurgling or bubbles. Breathe in. Breathe out. And just go through that again. Relax the shoulders. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax the abs. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax your legs. And let's start to lengthen the breath. Breathe in. Exhale fully. This is taking that diaphragm through a greater range of motion. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax the belly. Keep it relaxed. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. So hopefully as you go through that, you can kind of start to put it all together and see how maybe you felt some relief. So do this, you guys, when you're symptomatic, not if your stomach's super duper full. So let's say you have a 6 centimeter hiatal hernia. Let's say, you know, half of your stomach is obstructing your diaphragm, and now your stomach is full, which is going to be, it's going to be like an hourglass, right? You've got food up here in this portion of your stomach, you've got food down here underneath the diaphragm in this portion of the stomach, and you start doing this breathing, and it's trying to move your stomach down, and that's going to be painful. It's going to be very uncomfortable. So if you're symptomatic and your stomach is either half full or empty, and you can try this on a full stomach, but if it makes you more symptomatic, that's why. Try this when you're symptomatic. See if it gives you a little bit of relief. If it does, that means you're getting some movement. That means you either, you know, maybe you got your stomach down and out of the diaphragm momentarily. And again, that's why we have to strengthen our diaphragm, because that's where that hole is that's nice and big and allowed your stomach to pop through. We've got to tighten that up, okay? So that we don't have a future reherniation. And what was the other thing? I was just thinking, what was I talking about? It was important. Okay, so we were talking about, what was it? Shoot. Oh, it's too much pressure. I can't think of it. I was just thinking of something else I wanted to bring up when I was wrapping up that breathing tutorial. Oh, I remembered. Yes. Okay, so your diaphragm is a muscle. So when we like I was just saying, we want to go about strengthening it so we can tighten the hiatus, right? We want to shrink and tighten the hiatus so we don't have those future reherniations. So these breathing exercises, when we relax our abs, this forces us to isolate our diaphragm. Okay, so any of you out there that are weightlifters or you know anything about weightlifting, we oftentimes will isolate a muscle, right? Why do we do that? Well, if we're lifting weights and we're using multiple muscles to help out a particular muscle that we're trying to train, then we're not training that muscle as optimally as we could, right? As if we isolated that muscle and just made that muscle work. All right, so we have abdominal muscles here and we have our diaphragm here. And when we breathe in and out, that diaphragm does this with every breath, right? But if we pull in our abs, then the abs are helping out that breath work, all right? The abs are pushing in and help pushing that diaphragm up in order to deflate the lungs, and the diaphragm isn't isolated, all right? So when we talk about strengthening the diaphragm, if we can isolate that muscle, we're gonna work it harder, but two, if we're taking it through that full range of motion by taking deep breaths, and don't take such deep breaths that you feel like you're dizzy, and don't do it somewhere where you might pass out. I always get people say, I do your exercises, Pam, and I feel like I'm going to pass out. Stop if you feel like you're going to pass out. If you start taking really, really deep breaths, you could get dizzy and pass out, all right? So if you take 3 breaths and then you feel dizzy, stop and breathe normal, and then go back and do the exercise again, all right? So, and you don't have to take, life-saving deep breaths. You just want to take deep breaths that are a little bit deeper and a little bit more challenging than what you would normally do, okay? But it's that through that action of deep breathing, your diaphragm is going to go through its full range of motion, or a fuller range of motion. And again, that's what we want, right? Because it's moving and stretching it, and it's getting it to rise up. It's on that exhale where the diaphragm moves up. But by relaxing the abs, we're isolating it. We're isolating that muscle and making the diaphragm do all the work. And you should feel this. Like after you've been practicing this for a while, you should start to notice like a tightness and a fatigue here. Like you're relaxing the belly and you notice like this fatigue here. That's your diaphragm. And so you can come in and give yourself a little belly rub. Just, you know how it feels good when you massage a muscle that, you just got through, maybe you worked out yesterday and you did, extra, pull-ups or something, and it just, that feels really good. Just come in right under the rib cage and give yourself a little bit of a muscle massage there. And then the abs too. I get a lot of questions about feeling awkward or strange, making the abs feel fatigued even though we're relaxing the abs. Why is that? And it's just because we're actually, these exercises are working our abs in a new and different way, right? They're not used to getting stretched through this belly breathing, this expansion. I feel like I'm losing my connection here. Am I losing my connection? Can somebody say if you can still hear me? Might need to wrap this up. Give me 1 second, I'll check. It looks like we're okay. It's a little patchy. Okay, so let's just go through these questions really quick and then we'll wrap this up. Hi Marianne, she asks, did you feel like you couldn't breathe? With my hiatal hernia, that was never a symptom for me. My hernia was small. So Marianne, when you have a larger hiatal hernia, that means a bigger portion of your stomach is up in your chest cavity. And then as your lungs expand, there's something pushing up against that. And so 2 things are happening. One is that pressure against your lungs are making it so your lungs can't fully expand. And 2 is you have an obstruction in your diaphragm, which means it makes it more difficult to move up and down. Okay? Nancy asks, will this help with the severe scoliosis I have, as my rib cage is lower on one side and my spine rotation is probably, it got cut off. Is probably messing my diaphragm up more. I really don't know if that it would help with your severe scoliosis. One thing you'll notice, Nancy, when you do these breathing, you might notice some, shoulder and neck discomfort just because you're trying to relax the shoulders in a new way. You're sitting up tall in a new way. So, you know, you can give yourself, place your hands on your shoulders like this and just kind of hug yourself, relax your shoulders and look down and relax your head and then go back to the exercise. You can also, like I was saying, you can sit back because the exercises might put a little bit of strain on your back as you relax your belly and just kind of let everything hang down. So you can, this exercise will stretch the curvature of your back as well. I can't speak to, I don't know that much about scoliosis, and just off the top of my head, I can't think how it would be helpful, but certainly you can try it and see how it goes. But yeah, just incorporate in some additional stretching. Also Nancy, you can do just in a chair, you know, turn to the right side. Just take these little breaks to do these little stretches to kind of give a little bit of relief and loosen things up. You can turn to the right side. Keep your abs relaxed while you do these stretches. Turn to the left side. It's just a twist. Keep the abs relaxed. Do a little bit of shoulder rolls and get everything kind of loosened up. I am going in and out. Okay, and now I'm connected. Oh, great. Sorry about that. Well, I hope you guys didn't miss anything that I said that was really important. Okay, so I think that's it. I hope you guys found this of some value. If you have any further questions, you can post those in the comment section below. Okay. Oh, a 3 centimeter hernia. Okay, Nancy. Well, that's really good news. You know, that's not a teeny tiny hiatal hernia, but it's not huge either. I mean, it's on the smaller to medium side. So, so that's really good news. You don't have that far to move it down. Now, if you've had it a really long time, again, those adhesions, they want to hold on. They've created that new location, and they're gonna, you know, it's just, they have to be stretched. And so again, if you think about that drawstring, you know, it's just inching it along, maybe a millimeter at a time. And unfortunately, one of the things that can happen is we're moving our stomach down as we can experience additional pain and discomfort because we're stretching those adhesions, because the tissues of the diaphragm and the stomach are already agitated, and now we're moving it. We're trying to move that down, and so you know, it can create more discomfort. And so to that, I would say, you know, just be really gentle on yourself. I mean, some people have this mentality, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to aggressively pop this sucker out. And, you know, while that works for some people, you know, you can go to a chiropractor and they can pop it out. In my opinion, it's better to do it slowly. Be gentle about it. Strengthen your diaphragm as you go. Move that stomach down, strengthen your diaphragm. Kind of weave it all together as opposed to just trying to pop it out, because it's just going to move its way back up. Okay, so think of it more as consistent, slow, over the long haul terms. Okay, so the exercises with help with my breathing, ? Can't handle the lack of oxygen. Marianne, try it and see. I mean, that's the idea, is that they would help with your breathing. Optimally, or what we're going for here is to unherniate your stomach eventually, because if you don't have anything pushing up against your lungs, that's going to allow you to be able to take a full breath. If you don't have a diaphragmatic obstruction, that's going to allow you to take full breaths. So that is the end game. That's the goal, is to unherniate your stomach. The very act of these deep breath, this practice of deep breathing, is going to help relax you. It's going to help stimulate vagal function. So these things are going to help promote better breathing in the long run. I can't say for certain whether an exercise like this is going to, you know, help you breathe better within one session, but certainly that's the goal. That's the goal, is to help alleviate any symptoms that your hiatal hernia are creating, right? No matter what they are. That's the whole thing, is the hiatal hernia creates the symptoms. And so if we can take away the hiatal hernia, we take away the symptoms. And for some people, you know, they get relief right away. For others, it takes time for everything to heal. Maybe there's a lot of damage that's occurred, damage to the esophagus, damage to the diaphragm, damage to the lower esophageal sphincter, and so, you know, damage to the throat even. And so, you know, if you wake up every morning with a sore throat you finally get your hernia unherniated, it's going to take a while for those tissues to heal, so you may not get relief right away, but ideally speaking, you will get relief because you're no longer having acid exposure, which is what burns your throat in the first place. Okay? So again, that's it for today, you guys. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and post them in the comment box below. Thanks for watching.